Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and today we're going to answer one of those short questions. Okay, so these are the Dr. Scott short questions. It really helps, though, guys, if you would like and subscribe, but also leave more questions because I'm happy to answer them. Okay, now remember, some people have questions that are small, like related to themselves, but if there's more generalized, bigger questions, love those because that actually affects more people. Okay, so check it out, share it with your friends too. All right, so let's pop this puppy up. So I work at a bank. I'm shortening her question here. I work at a bank who knows about how to contingency plan, meaning they can plan for the future contingencies that go on. We haven't heard anything about NESARA. When will the bank know about it? And she asks a little bit more about that. I kind of say, okay, I want to throw this out at you. Um, so I was at a bank, and I was asking. I'm trying to remember this too. This is early in November, and I was getting out cash because I was going to be going to a couple of conferences, and I had my books and some other things that I was going to do, and be able to share. People like to give cash for that stuff. My books are pretty cheap, and so I know normally had to get a whole bunch of fives, right? So I got like $200 of fives, and I'm kind of looking at the bills, and she's also doing a deposit on another one of my accounts. And she comes back, and I'm like, man, have you noticed these bills? Not one of those bills do anything but 2013, 2017, and 2020, or excuse me, 2021. She goes, now I could have said, do you know when the new U.S. Treasury note bill comes out? That's not what I asked. I said, have you seen any new bills that are about ready to come out? She goes, yeah, in November. And she stops right then. And I'm like, I got you. So here's the thing that happens. Okay. Now, obviously, she isn't right exactly about November, but that's what they've been told. Let's talk to you about how that I would process that particular conversation. Number one, I have a little bit on my screen here with that too. And I would say, number one, to that person, have you noticed that there haven't been any new bills since 2021? Now, if the person's been around for a little while, they go, yeah, I've kind of noticed. I mean, a few years. And if they haven't, I would say, listen, I've been banking with you guys for X number of years, or banks for, umpteen number of years. And every single year, they actually, bring out new currency ones. We come out with real pretty $5 bills. Pick any denomination you want to talk about, right? I mean, you always get the new bills from the banks. They go, and so just is another way of doing this. Now, by the way, I never ask a question I don't know the answer to. And specifically on this kind of thing, there's other times I ask questions I don't know the answer to, but I'm very open-ended with them. These ones are very closed-end questions because I'm trying to see what that person possibly knows and what they might tell me about information. We do this a lot in a lot of different ways. And so they might go, huh, hadn't thought about that. So is it that the 2022 or 2021 bills are just less terrible than ripping up of uh, any less terrible than any other year? And she'll probably go, well, no, that's not true. Huh. So why is it that they haven't come up with a new bill since Joe Biden started office? Very powerful question. They haven't come up with a new bill since Joe Biden started in office. And you're probably going to get a silence. Like, now, I don't care if the person's left wing, right wing, it doesn't really matter. You're trying to mess with their brain a little bit here, okay? Because that's when you actually get some of the most honest answers out there. Now, then I normally follow it up. Well, I don't know if you've seen, but there are these cool new bills that don't look like anything you've ever seen, and they come from the US Treasury. Now, here's what I'm looking for from that question. And I say, again, we're saying about new bills that look totally different and come from the US Treasury. Now, if the person's, never heard about this, you might meet someone who's never heard about it. Don't react to that as if like they're, all this NESARA thing is wrong. See, sometimes you guys react to a question and you get an answer and it's not the answer you're looking for. And the answer is you might need to ask that question a different way. That's what I'm talking to you about here. Okay. So if the person's like, they're all confused, then you got an answer that you don't have a clue. They really haven't figured out what you're talking about. But most people, and especially if they know the answer to that question, but they're not supposed to tell you, they'll be like, they'll it's like you caught them in a lie, and you haven't caught them in a lie. They're just like not supposed to actually answer it, and you'll hear that every once in a while, because what it did is I made it pass by their filters. What? A filter is this. For instance, any person in banking knows that the Fed creates the bills and sends them to, meaning they create the need for the bills and sends it to the US Mint, who then makes the bills and deposits those with the banks or delivers them through the banks, right? So I said to that person, have you noticed that the US Treasury has come out with a new new looking bill? And if they answer that question, then they know the answer to that one, right? That's how cool that is. Okay, let me throw out another way of saying this as well. What we're trying to get after here is this. If they kind of get that bills have not come out since 2021, and they haven't come out, that they haven't been since Joe Biden, and there might be bills in the back that have a new look to them. Here's the question. Has she answered if NESARA is coming out? The answer is no, she hasn't. But here's but I want to share with you just something interesting. In the 60s, the CIA came out with a concept called Operation Mockingbird. What the heck were they doing? Why didn't they just say, we want the media to lie, we're going to feed them stories of mis or disinformation? Why is it that they didn't actually call it disinformation through the media? It's because they didn't want to share it. Now, if you watch the movie, it's real, cute part of a movie, but some people who've been out in pastures before know that mockingbirds or mockingjays or parrots actually will repeat the frequencies that they hear. So you could whistle a tune and they might repeat the frequencies. Now they will shorten the duration, but the frequency of the sound, which is the pitch of the sound, is represented by particular ones. So when they said mockingbird, what they did is they put idiotic information out there and the media picked it up and they rolled with it. Now, sometimes they actually put the real information out. See, that's what happens when you have disinformation. They put real information out there, but they don't put it out. and that media just thinks that guy's a great source. Is it? Right? And by the way, I hear this all the time. Well, I heard it from this source who said, like, are you sure that you didn't get disinformation? Are you sure they didn't get disinformation on this? The reality is there's so much happening in the process here. The banks know it, but they haven't used words like NESARA or the QFS. And then you come to me and say, I'm so disappointed the bank doesn't know anything about it. You're just a liar, Scott. And I go, you haven't even asked the questions correctly. I have asked those questions. I've asked other people to ask questions at their bank, and the same kind of conversation comes back. Number one possibility is they're completely confused, which is a person who doesn't know anything about it. especially when we've asked it in this particular pattern. And secondly, they'll come back, the other type of person will come back and spill pieces of the beans. They're either really good about it and they go, I mean, they'll give you like a nod, there is something in the back and it's changed. Or there's, they've seen it, which I've had plenty of my people report the same kind of thing. Or they'll say, or they'll spill the beans like it should be coming out in X month, and you're going, whoa, that's wild. That's the way that you answer questions. So when you get odd, you're trying to get a piece of information about this thing called NESARA, and yet you're asking it in the wrong way. You need to and this is some practice that you guys can do to be able to ask a question in a unique way. Hope that helps you out, by the way. We have some cool stuff on drscottyoung.com. There's a 13-page document that you can go on and download that talks about NESARA. Thanks so much.